I want to do a quick review of 2K25. So, quick history, been playing 2K25 since forever. Since as far back as 2K7 or whatever it was, right? And so, um, not that I've been a super fan of the game, but when it comes to having a basketball game, right, you want to be able to play that. And I know that there's the narrative out there that, oh, it's the same game, it's the same game, it's the same game. Well, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, if you buy a basketball game, it's going to be a basketball game. It's always going to be the same game. The question herein lies whether or not what we had issues with or what problems existed still exists, right? Or how did they improve the game? Nowadays, when we come to the purchasing of video games and the consumer market of video games in general, we're at this point where all we're doing is buying software now, right? And quite frankly, just given the understanding of a software development lifecycle, quite frankly, they're giving us point 0.5 or third digit changes, right? Where they're giving us point 0.5, point 0.1, point 0.2, point 0.3 iterations of a video game, in my opinion. And it's not to say that the video game is trash, garbage, or not worth buying. It's just a simple fact that I hate the 2K model, and especially now that this whole season style of gaming is introduced to the market from games like Call of Duty, where now you can figure out a way to generate a revenue continuously throughout the year or the course of the game, incentivizing maybe a point 0.5, point 0.3, or point 0.1 badge boost or or attribute boost, right? Is what you're fighting for at the end of the day. But I mean, once the game's done, and then you start all over a year later, which, I kind of don't understand that. If we understand that the game's going to be the same every year and it is what it is, and all you're going to update is minor, I guess, physical contact, contextual style efforts of the game, like, why are you continually charging people for that? It's not different. It's the same thing. Every person who purchases this game is going to spend on average $50 to $100 on this game after buying it, after spending the $79.99 or the $69.99 or whatever it is, right? Every person who buys 2K is going to spend that extra money. And so the issue I have with 2K specifically in their model is the fact that every year you got to purchase a game to buy VC to actually have a viable player to enjoy, to actually grind and compete. So it is very much a pay to play game. And quite frankly, when we talk about the nature of the dynamic of even playing 2K, like, we're supposed to be NBA players, right? But you go into the Pro-Am, or you go into the Rec, or you go into different game modes, and there are players that can't even make passes, right? There isn't a single NBA player that has ever played the game who can't make a basic pass. There isn't a single NBA player that can't catch a pass, right? Or can't figure out a way to pick up a loose ball or fundamentally box someone out and win a rebound regardless of attributes, right? Rudy Gobert might be one of the best defenders in the league for the last 3 years, MVP or defensive player of the year, right? But, that doesn't mean he gets every rebound. That doesn't mean he blocks every shot, right? Fundamentally, or if I get position on a person or a player, I should be able to win that battle 10 times out of 10, right? So it's just not a smooth basketball experience, right? It's just playing 2K rather than playing basketball. And in some cases, people can make these anomaly builds and completely exploit the game, and there's nothing you can do about it because they just know how to do this game better than basketball is. So the question isn't whether or not is it a great basketball game, because it's not really, in my opinion, a fundamentally sound basketball experience in some ways. Like, I mean, quite frankly, we're playing a game where the most exciting aspect of putting points on the board is shooting threes and dribbling left and right and waiting till somebody falls, picking and rolling. It doesn't make you play real basketball. It makes you play 2K. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, um, I give 2K25 a 3 point. No, I'll give it a 3 out of 5, 6.5 out of 10.
Sorry, bro.
I mean, I'm just being real. I'm just being real. You can wait another year for the next 2K. Hopefully they do something different. But it is very much the same game. Like, they have this commercial where they show you a bump and they say, "Oh, we fixed defense," right? But there's no contact for a person with a 99 interior defense, 99 block, when a person with a dunk package starts their dunk animation from the middle of the key, or the middle of the or inside the perimeter, and you're right there. There's nothing you can do about that, because based on the sliders, based on the animation, regardless of the fact that they have contact dunks or not, the game says that this person's going to make this shot. And not only that, quite frankly, I don't understand the gauge for what makes a person a good shooter on this game, because this is single-handedly the hardest 2K to shoot ever. And it's difficult for no reason. I mean, first of all, stats don't mean anything toward your actual ability to shoot this year. It just means something regarding the badges you're able to get, and the badges impact the animations you'll have. But then once you figure all of that out, you still somehow have to figure out your settings to shoot at a high level. So it's very confusing to me, right? Where I'll play on normal based response for shooting, and I'll make some whites, and I'll very rarely get my greens, right, with or without a meter displayed. But then I put it on high risk, and I'm cashing out greens repeatedly. But if I don't hit that green every time, I'll miss. And it doesn't seem like there's like this naturalness to actually shooting the ball, right? I should be able to shoot a perfect shot if I'm familiar with that jump shot. You know what I mean? And I understand that the contest is different this year, where if there's somebody 5'9" and I'm 7'1" with an 85-3, they're not going to be able to do much to contest that. And that's a very real reality, unless I just jank the shot. But quite frankly, I mean, when we talk about even the notion of what timing stability or timing stability is, I mean, in my mind, it's okay, I'm going to have the same green window every time, but it's almost as if the green window is consistent, nothing changes, and you can just move it around by selecting whether or not it's set point or jump or what have you. And it's just this one little window, and it's like uniformly the same for everyone, regardless of your rating on shooting. It's like, 2K has to do something about increasing the green window, because I've created about I would say 20 jump shots in the last hour attempting to figure this out, and I quite frankly cannot figure out how to shoot at a consistent level with a fluid jump shot. I've even taken jump shots that I've used from previous 2Ks, and I have an 83-point shot, and I cannot find a consistent shot in my court where no one's guarding me. Right. So for instance, right, in my court, if I lay the ball up, if I go for a dunk, I'm going to make that layup or dunk every single time, because I'm unguarded and it's a high percentage shot. Now, if I'm shooting a 3, I should have a great ability to shoot that 3 if every time I'm shooting it at the same sort of consistency. Right. But it's like this little millisecond or thousandth of a second that differentiates between your ability to hit a green or for it to be a slightly. Like, I will hit a slightly early consistently, but I can't consistently hit a green in some cases. So I just feel like that needs to be fixed. I mean, if you're going to do things the way that you're doing things right now, in terms of how you've altered the shooting, you have to get rid of slightlies. There should not be any slightly earlys or slightly lates. There should just be late, early, or on time. In that slightly window should be the green window. And that is regardless of the slider that you're playing on. It's just, it makes no sense when if someone has dimer or someone passes me the ball of a pick and roll inside a rec, I'll get this amazing boost of shooting at a slightly early that'll then be green. But in my court with no one guarding me, I can't seem to hit a green to save my life in some instances. So again, we're gonna drop a full video on just testing this out for you guys to see, and right after this actually. So we're gonna make a transition. But yeah, that's my take on 2K this year, man. That's my take on 2K. And again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of not just a basketball game. I'm looking at it from the perspective of 2K as a game. And how did they improve upon or give you something better than they did last year? And it's very minimal in my opinion. There's really no difference. Like there's really no difference between the two games besides very minor changes. And of course, yes, as we navigate throughout the season, they'll adjust sliders. They'll do whatever they need to do, which effectively by the end of the season will be very and vastly different than the game that started, and maybe iteratively feel just about as different as this 2K did from the last 2K. So there it is. That's my review on 2K, ladies and gentlemen. Much longer video coming soon.